I want to talk to you guys today about why we're doing group workshops. If you've ever taken a creative writing class, you've no doubt had to do some of these, but a lot of you I know are new to the writing process and to a writing class, and you may wonder why we get put in small groups to talk about stories when everybody's learning and don't necessarily feel like you have much to offer to someone. One of the first reasons that we workshop is because it's important to learn to set up a community of writers. If you're going to continue with the writing life, you're going to need to develop a group of readers with whom you will share your work and give feedback to others. And you need to learn how to do that in a way that is constructive and helpful as well as kind. But secondly, we want to learn how to workshop others so that we can apply that to our own work. People notoriously have blinders on about their own work. They think it's better than it is, or they think it's worse than it is, or something is not exactly accurate in the way the work is being perceived. And so we need other people's eyes on that work to hold up a mirror. As we learn how to work with other work, other drafts, we're better able to apply that sort of critical eye to our own work. My goal in all of our creative writing classes here in the program is to get you really focused on looking at a text, whether it's a published work, a novel, that you're doing a book analysis for, or these stories or essays in our small classes, our small groups. I want you to learn to look at these pieces from the perspective of a writer. So whether or not you liked the work or not is not relevant. What's relevant is how did the craft hold the story up? And then how can you offer suggestions that might make that craft element a little bit stronger? And I know that in beginning classes, this sounds really scary. It sounds, foreign. It doesn't make any, you're afraid often to try to do this. And I want to reassure you that even if you're shaky on understanding how point of view works, or how to do compelling description, or how to write dialogue that's filled with tension and conflict, you're still readers, and so your opinion as a reader matters. It goes without saying that if you want to write, you should be reading everything you can possibly get your hands on. So from that place, you can still offer something to the writer, and then over time, and it takes quite a few semesters to really fine-tune critiquing skills to where they're helpful. So don't get discouraged by first attempts at this, and don't get discouraged by the way others might respond to your work. A lot of times people are afraid to say anything, and over time we'll have that confidence, and that confidence is going to build back. Is going to build up. All of you will be getting feedback from me as well on your stories, or if this is a nonfiction class, on your essays that will be focused on the craft. And I see my role here as primarily to help you deepen your relationship and understanding of craft. It's not about creating a master finished product. It's about really learning how to work with the tools of our art, which are point of view, settings, scene building, dialogue, tension, all these elements that apply across genres, certainly apply on the work that you'll be submitting for your groups. So as you practice giving feedback to others, you're strengthening your ability to give feedback to yourself. It's really hard a lot of times to find a group of writers who are willing to work with you and who you're willing to work with. It's kind of like a marriage. So the better you can get at looking at your own work, also through the lens of craft, rather than through that lens of I'm in love with it or I hate it, the better off your own work is going to be in the long run too. So providing feedback for others is actually a teaching tool for you. It's providing deeper insight for you into how fiction works. And it's really often easier to see how it is not working when you look at other beginning drafts, even though you might be doing the exact same thing. It's somehow easier to see in others. So as we approach the feedback portion of the classes, remember that we want to, strive to not rewrite the work, but to help deepen the craft, which is the structure, which is the bones of the piece. And it is not a waste of time. And I know that it can feel like that sometimes. And you may wonder why we're doing it. It is the single most important skill that you can learn on your path to being a writer. Because if for no other reason, it helps you hone your own work to the level that you want it to be. And you learn that by practicing detachment and compassion, and that eye for looking at a piece through the lens of craft in other classes and with other students' work. So this is a skill that you will carry for the rest of your writing life, and it does take some time to get the hang of. It takes some time to feel comfortable with it. Even if you don't know exactly how a writer might fix a problem that you see, just identifying the problem or saying, gosh, on page 5, I felt disconnected. I'm not sure why. That's helpful to the author because the author is taking all this in just as little mirrors on the work. You know, there's not a right and wrong in writing. There's just choices, craft choices that a writer makes, and then the effects of those craft choices on the piece and on the reader. So that's really what we're doing. And so approach this with enthusiasm, approach this with kindness. It is an exercise for you, and it will help you most likely more than it will help the other students, and that goes for both ways. So think about what the activity is teaching you about the craft of writing, and don't be attached to whether or not a particular writer takes your suggestion or not, because you're trying to deepen your own understanding of craft. So hopefully this helps, and I look forward to reading your work. Thank you.